tell me about one of the most important things that stood out about the group vibe tonight?
Okay, so first of all, the group vibe was amazing. But something that really stood out for me is we've got Amelia Busby in the group. She's a seafarer. She didn't even know if she could make it tonight because she didn't know if she was going to be onshore or offshore or whatever. And then luckily she had a window where she could get off the boat, come to the event and go back on the boat. Now, bless her, she went to a shop, she was trying to find an outfit, she was super stressed, she couldn't find one. And I said, Amelia, just come as you are. And she turned up, she had a I don't know what you want to call them, they're like this, almost like a hiking boot, seafaring trousers, her polo shirt, her uniform, I guess what it was. But she felt comfortable enough to turn up like that because that's what the space is, what we want to create, is that women can come, there's no pressure. And I honestly feel like if it was another industry event, that maybe, and I don't want to speak for her, but I think myself personally, I would felt a bit uncomfortable showing up. But she turned up, she just put on her outfit, she asked where the toilet was, she got changed, she pushed her hair out, and she had the best night. And also, Amelia's one of our ambassadors, particularly for photography, and she's really up there on her Instagram. And she said to Mia tonight, who's our photographer, I don't want to be any headshots. By the end of the evening, she was having so many pictures of no makeup, just pure as she is. And that's what we want to create at Women Together, is a safe space where women can be themselves. There's no judgment, you can just be you.
What do you think it is that allows the women to kind of come together and be as comfortable as they are in the setting?
Because the women that are in a community, the community that I feel like I founded, but they have built it, okay? So I started it, but the women have founded it. They are not bitchy, and I'm sorry if I can't swear, you can bleep that out. But they actually, everybody in that group wants to see me do well, and I want to see them do well, and they want to see every single woman in that group do well. And sometimes, I'm not pointing fingers, but in other communities across other industries, I've noticed that women go in these groups to elevate themselves individually, where this group is like, no, we're just a sisterhood. You're a big sister, you're a little sister, and we just love and care about each other.
Can I add something here? I just want to add...
Introducing Cynthia Worley.
Hi, I'm Cynthia Worley, friend of Zoe. I wanted to say that there's something that's really critical that hasn't been addressed here, and it's about bringing your authentic self, right? Yes. Amelia today brought her authentic self. Zoe today brought her authentic self. I hope I brought my authentic self. What that means, though, is that we feel like we're joining an environment where we can be who we are. Exactly. And I think that's very different in an organization that says, we're meeting you where you are. You don't have to be this, you don't have to be that. We're not an organization that is aligning you to what you might be. We're an organization that says we're meeting where you are right now, and we're helping you to be where you want to be tomorrow. Yes. And we're all part of that.
Exactly. That's exactly it.
And I think partially as well, you can help people figure out who they are. Because when you think about how many roles everybody is always
my God,
to play,
who the hell are we anyway? Yes, it changes every day.
When you strip back the roles that you're trying to play in other situations, and you don't have to live inside of those, at that point you can actually start to figure out what it is that you really want and who you really are outside of that.
Exactly. And I just want to add on to that, is that I say Women Together is the same girl but on a different path. So like Cynthia and I, we may be in this industry for a decade plus.
We're old.
We have babies.
We're experienced.
And then you have the younger generation who are on the start, but we're all that same girl who wants to go somewhere, and we all recognize that in one another, which is exactly what Cynthia is saying about the authentic self. So you can turn up. There was graduates with us today who have just graduated. There was a girl, she was 21. She said she's been at a shipping job for 2 weeks, and her boss said, get down there tonight. And I said to her, listen, follow up with me, because there's so many women in this room that want to help you elevate, because we're all that same girl. We just want to be the best version of ourselves. We all adore shipping. we are in love with the industry and we want everybody else to have the same experience that we have, and we want to elevate to that next level. And yeah, we just all want to help each other out on where we are and on that stage.
Yeah, level up the next woman.
You bring up a really important point often about being an entrepreneur as a woman, and it feeling like sometimes that it has to be a choice about whether you go hard and you go passionate about your career, and particularly in an industry that is, you know, that is typically been male dominated and still is in many ways, and wanting to really carve out a space for yourself and go hard on that. So how do you plan for women together in the membership and the events that you carry forward to help women be fearless in pursuit of the careers that they want to have in the industry?
So first of all, entrepreneurship isn't for everyone, and that's totally okay, because I hate this pressure that you have to be this like super fierce, super award winning. That creates such a negative culture on so many women who are so fabulous in what they're doing. And immediately I just want to correct that. You can literally be in operations and have an incredible career and join our community and be loved and adored and just be the best version that you are within that, and that's a glorious thing. Cynthia and I are both mums, and we have to make a lot of sacrifices sometimes of time with our children, and that's what we choose to do. But my message is for those who want to go into the path of entrepreneurship is that like anything is possible. If you can dream it, you can do it. You now have a sisterhood that never existed when I was younger, that will enable you and support you, and they'll show up to your events. They'll like your LinkedIn post. They'll do all these micro affirmations that will make you feel empowered, which I don't get from my school friends, I don't get from my family. And that's why it's so important. When Cynthia does something that's really profound, I message her and say, I'm so proud of you. I say, I'm so proud of you, because I get it. She spends time away from her daughters to give something better, and it's always for the greater good. And she understands that I do that for my daughter. But so many of our friends probably don't understand that. And I think that's what is so important. Do you have something to add to that?
We both, I can only assume, have supportive communities around us.
Yes.
That doesn't mean that they understand the story of your life.
No.
And so to find a community that actually understands the trajectory of your life and what you might sacrifice today to gain tomorrow, and the why behind that, and to have an understanding of that, is really, really critical. And so it comes back to a common understanding of the why we make the decisions that we do and what we're working for. And to your point, whether you're working to be the best operator, the best charter, the best person in trade finance, or the best entrepreneur, you're not being judged in this community. It's about lowering barriers to entry as opposed to creating additional hurdles that people have to jump over. We want to encourage people to follow in the footsteps that have led us to very fulfilling and rewarding careers.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to add on to that, is that it doesn't matter if you're a student or you're a CEO, everyone's the same. That I think is really, really important. The respect is the same, the entry levels are the same, and the gains are the same. Because if you're the CEO, you're giving back, and that's so rewarding, because you're becoming the woman that you needed then, which I think maybe we are now. And then for the younger ones, they have something that they didn't have, and I feel like they're going to elevate the ones that want to, and of course, they're going to elevate oh my gosh, I dropped my phone. They're going to elevate at a triple rate, and I love that though. It makes me so excited. And the best thing I will say is that shipping was never on the map before, even though it was like how we eat and how we live and the fuel in our cars is so dependent on shipping. No one understands or thinks about it. But I think the example we give today is not, I go home and I say, oh, it's really tough, or the guys are really hard on me. I'm like, oh, tonight I went to Joe Malone event and I'm with these girls who are amazing and they're elevating me and I'm winning awards and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And some of them are just saying, well, I'm enjoying my career more so, not because I want to be a super achiever, because not everybody wants to do that, but they have a community where they can just let their hair down and talk about their day and being a mom or just doing whatever they do. And I think that's really, really significant.
Because achievement is different for every individual, right? I think that your achievement is different to my achievement. And so celebrating, just having someone that you can share your day with and celebrate whatever achievement means to you is really beautiful.
Yeah, and it's loved and it's respected and it's loved.
How do you guys imagine being able to encourage women who are like at different points in their career in other industries to think about transitioning over to shipping as we look at the industry changing and continuing to evolve, I think over the next 3 to 5 years, and particularly the need for for influences from other industries to kind of come in and solve a lot of the areas that we are still lacking in, because we look at something head on from only a certain experience. So we want to attract women.
Fresh set of eyes.
Yeah.
So a fresh set of eyes, a different perspective is incredibly important in what we're dealing with, and particularly on the technology side, we feel very proud of the talent we are able to draw from other industries, which can add value through their external perspectives. 25 years in shipping, right, and trade. I think in a particular way. I need someone who challenges me and who says, here's another perspective. We all do. And so to be able to draw on it, people say, oh, I'm nervous, I don't have experience in this industry. Fantastic, right? What do you have experience in, and how does that relate? Because when you're working with the global economy, when you're working with connecting the world and the global supply chain, there is experience across a multitude of industries that are relevant within our own. And so attracting those people, drawing them in, using the skills that they have gained in their distinct industries and using them in our own is really, really important. It's not easy to do. I have to say, we have to, Zoe, you're in recruiting, so you'll know better than I do, but we struggle to attract or to convince people that they are, needed in this industry.
Yeah. And just adding on to that, there's so much growth still in this industry, which in a lot of industries doesn't exist. And that's what's so exciting about it. In data and intelligence, in systems. Shipping is so archaic in so many ways, but that's the beauty of it. The beauty of it is even though all the new data stuff that's coming in and AI that's coming in, I'm always saying the fundamentals still aren't right. We need to fix them, and there's still so much growth and there's so much room. There are a limited amount of social media companies. Social media hasn't even scratched the surface on shipping. Data, intelligence, what Sedna's doing is leading in so many ways, but there's still so much development to come, which you can imagine, right? So data, technology, social media, there's 3 areas that I think we have to absolutely nail, grow in. I think we're quite far behind when it comes to other industries. And for me, that's an area where I'm like, listen, this is still male dominated, which for me is growth, and if you are a woman coming into the space, that gives you room to grow in and adjust, because a lot of industries have dealt with these problems, but we haven't, and that's the beauty of it. And I still think there's so many areas in which we are still, which I kind of love so much about shipping. It's so about relationships and it's so archaic. There's so much room for growth, and I think that's really the selling point of it, is with AI coming in, and that's why I think community is so important, is we still have an industry that is so grounded and cemented on relationships. It's so beautiful. And it's so nostalgic, and it will never leave. And it's why it's going to outrun so much of AI. But then also, we do need AI, and we do need technology, and we do need data, and we do need systems to improve it. And this is beautiful harmony. So I think if you come in now, wow.
It's the balance of the real the relationship with the AI, the artificial intelligence, right? So there is a beautiful balance between those two things. But can I just point out, we are 3 women in a taxi on our way to a shipping event.
Yeah.
Would this have happened 10 years ago? 3 women on the way to an event? No, it'd been one of us with 5 guys in a taxi heading off to the next event.
Yeah.
We are.
Going on to Tower Bridge, yeah?
We are.
Yeah.
Welcome to London, everyone.
Yes, sir. Did you have a question?
You just want to be dropped off on Tower Bridge, yeah?
Do you know where the entrance to the upstairs towers?
We know.
I shouldn't be speaking into
Right
that.
in the middle, so I'll just drop you in the middle.
That would be
Thank
fantastic.
you.
Just to see
Anyway.
your face. Thank you.
Yeah.
Maybe the final question before we get there is that, so when we look at the next generation and the fact that they're being less incentivized to think for themselves, to stumble into their own ideas, to have to awkwardly and then beautifully create their own sentences and their own
Their
thoughts
own
and all this-
LinkedIn posts that we always had to do ourselves.
Yeah.
When you think about that, there is less of an incentive to do that, and what that might mean for how we
What is their
communicate,
voice?
connect, and how these relationships persist that are so, that are so intrinsic to how we think about shipping, right? Because this is how we connect and we bond. But when we think about the next generation, less having the messiness of having to meddle and mess with an idea and then see how it lands and all of this and form those bonds.
Look at the skeleton behind us. Sorry, it's
Oh my god.
yeah.
So London.
The driver has a
Well,
skeleton next to him.
okay.
I was
It's
like,
super cute.
First and foremost, I'm a big fan of Gen Z.
Mhm.
I think they bring a lot to the table. We just don't understand them.
Yeah.
They don't know how to pick up the phone. They used to get everything.
I don't understand them. No,
They
I
don't know how to get everything like immediately, and they're a bit like they want the moon on the stick like by 2 weeks, and so we have to learn to understand them a bit. But what I will say is that the rare few that actually get this and they lean into everything that's amazing. For example, Amelia, I'll just use her for example. She's a seafarer. She shows up. Natalie Salum, her dad's a ship owner. She works in the business. She shows up to everything. And these are young girls who, very different backgrounds, but regardless of that, they show up. They're intentional. They're posting on LinkedIn. They're joining the right communities. They're learning from, and they're seeing, oh, well, Cynthia does that, and Zoe does that, and Emma does that, and they're doing that, and that formula works, and they're really leaning into it now.
Yep.
Do we have to be worried about them? Yes. But the girls that we have right now, and the ones that are in our communities, I think they're going to really steam ahead.